Welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the official podcast of GeoWoodstock 18 right here in the Great Pacific Northwest. Each week, there you go. There's swag from GeoWoodstock 18 right here in the Great Pacific Northwest. Each week, we're going to talk about caches and cachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're playing at the fire hydrant, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
Well, that means it's time to bring in our soaked simian. Some say Tim Hortons delivers to his house. Others say sharks watch Land Monkey Week on TV. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
You know, the sharks do watch Land Monkey every Thursday night when we take the internet down.
There you go.
All right.
It's way better than Shark Week. I do not like Shark Week.
Okay, so non sequitur to start the show as we normally do. My absolute favorite Shark Week ad was the one where they had the musician Seal singing "Kissed by a Rose" as he's walking out on a dock, and I don't know if you guys have seen this one. And there's like women all losing their minds along the side. The dock is like a stage, and he gets out to the end just as the song is climaxing, and a great white just comes up and boom, and it says, "Seals are terrified of Shark Week."
That commercial I could get behind.
That was great. That was great. Loved it. Anyways, hey, it is time to not talk about Shark Week, although we are hoping land sharks are joining us, and we'll talk about them in just a moment. But tonight we are talking about creativity in caching, and hey, where better to start than to bring in our friends, Team Noltex. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
We're thrilled you're here.
Yeah, we are thrilled you're here. I haven't seen you guys in ages, so it's great to see you on the podcast, and looking forward to talking about.
And we somehow always seem to be out of town when you are in town. So
you it's almost coincidental. Yeah, you time it really
almost.
Well.
I realize I hardly ever see you two together. Never mind.
Oh, too funny.
Pre-recorded Land Monkey this week.
Pre-recorded. Yes, it's very good synchronization by everybody. You're all doing a very good job. Pause.
Lots of rehearsals.
And action. Yeah, very well done. Hey, you know what? It is time for, we were just talking about land sharks, but hey, we want to remind you all that we appreciate the support of our patrons who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week, including, of course, thanks to Land Sharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor. If you want to know more about Land Sharks, go over and check out landsharks.ca online. They are shipping orders daily and still have all kinds of cool stuff, including their brand new buffalo tubes. So check those out. If you don't know what a buffalo tube is, well, you're just going to have to go on their website and find out.
2 buffalo tubes go around the outside. Round the outside. No, that's different.
No, buffalo tubes come out tonight.
Oh, that's it.
I guess they're for night caching. All right.
Oh.
Anyways. Am I done?
I don't know how to follow that. I'm coming up with Buffalo Springfield, and I can't come up with anything to do. So
Everybody has a water buffalo.
Oh, there you go.
Yours is fast.
Mine is slow. And you can't roller skate in the buffalo herd. Take it away, Chris.
But what you can do is read about a great geocaching log. Yes, we do the geocaching log of the week. Whether you read it, whether you wrote it, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. You can send an email. You can send a field recording. Those guys over there, they make fun of me for saying field recording, but you can do it.
You can.
You can email that to feedback@cachingnw.com. You can call in to 253-693-TFTC or use the voicemail tool on the website and show us how you glow.
Well, you know who glowed or glue or what's the past tense of glow?
I like glue.
Glue. You know who glue?
Lower.
Yeah. Glowed. I don't know. Anyway, this week's glow is from Wino, Seattle. And see, GC1XWQ9 back to school. Not like anybody's going back to school in 2020, but the cache is called Back to School, Snohomish County Paradise Park. And the log, let me see, get my mouse over here, reads, This week on the popular podcast Caching in the Northwest, which I've heard of, I asked an important Father's Day question. Since this is my first Father's Day and I've been itching to find anything that looked remotely like a leftovers container, I felt these dads and avid geocachers were the best source for advice there and then. I was expecting to be able to ask for a full day of geocaching on my own and was excited to plan out a list. Instead, the backlash came from the live stream message thread and a bunch of chuckles from our three hosts. "Oh no," said Doug Jones, "gotta bring the kid." Both the monkey and Mr. N laughed as Chris tried to suggest a bit more reasonable advice. In the end, I got to sleep in. 3 large pancakes, 2 new bourbon bottles, George T. Stagg, senior part of the BTAC family, larceny 14-year-old, roasted turkey at our COVID-safe friend's house, and 3 2.1-mile round trip for 3 medium-sized ammo cans. Score! The 2.1-mile in and out hike was mostly uneventful, except for a bunch of raunchy farts and bumps from the 51-day-old newborn tucked into Nikki's ergo pack. A third of the way into this find, and the kid decides to up all of his last meal. Twice. The cleanups were easy peasy. Thank God there wasn't a need for a diaper change or any sort of signs of a blowout. Anyway, the cache was found quickly. It was dry. It was signed. Placed back where we found it, and back down the trail we went. TFTC, and thanks for the fatherly advice. That's from Team Winos, Winos Seattle, Nikki 81, and Theo PNW.
Nice.
I think we've all been there, right? We've maybe not geocaching with.
I was going to say not to GC1XWQ9.
Oh, well,
Yeah, not to that one, but the infant in the backpack with baby Earp in your hair. Been there. Yeah.
Isn't that one of those kid songs? Baby Earp doot 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 doot. Doot.
Pretty much, I think, yeah.
All right.
thanks. Now that song's stuck in my head.
You're welcome.
Hey, you know what I really
For my
like
next
about
break.
this glow?
No, tell me.
They mentioned you.
I'm called reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, it had to eventually get written somewhere on the internet.
Yeah.
And you know what they say about things written on the internet?
Well, if you put enough words together, I can come up with any description I want.
Yes, a million monkeys
Yes.
and a million typewriters.
I'm amazing on Wikipedia. If you don't believe me, just wait 5 minutes. I'll go check it out.
Nice. Well, if you guys want to add to tonight's topic, as we talked with Team Noltex, use the hashtag think. Think before you type.
Nah, just type.
No,
No.
just
On it.
okay.
Really. It's way better if you don't think first.
You don't need to bring
And-
your musical instrument to rehearsal. Just use the think system. No?
Don't know the think system.
Okay. That'll come up in the chat, I'm sure.
Okay.
Any news before we jump right to our guest?
No, I was getting to hashtag Patas.
Oh, yes.
If anything for the after show.
That's
Hashtag-
always a thing. For the after show, which is extremely popular, almost more popular than the show, except when we've got a great guest on like Team Noltex. So welcome officially again. And we'd like to welcome you to our little Thursday night internet crashing party. Tell us maybe a little bit about, there might be somebody out there that has not heard of you, hasn't done one of your awesome caches. You know,
Or
tell
has
us a little bit about
your
yourself.
Crashes and they don't work when they get there.
Well, that's a whole other story. Maybe that's a for the after show moment right there.
That's a task. Yeah.
Anyway, this is your moment to shine. Introduce yourselves. Tell us where you're from and how you got into this crazy little hobby we all so enjoy.
I guess it was October of 2003. If you remember the Where's George bill tracking game, people would stamp Where's George. You'd go to their website and you'd enter that serial number on the bill, and you could see where it had been and where it had come from, and all those kinds of things. So I got one, curious, went to the website, and I see an ad for geocaching.com. What's that?
Next
And-
thing you know, he wants to take up a new hobby. I'm like, what? You do what?
Followed the rabbit trail, saw what it was, and thought, well, that sounds kind of interesting. And didn't own a GPS. anything like that. But I looked on the map, and there was one at Wapato Park, which was just a couple miles from our house. And it showed it was kind of in the corner of the lake. And I'm like, I bet we could probably find that.
So
even
he
without
takes the whole family, and we're mortified as he's traipsing down to the water looking for this cache. And we're like, what are you doing? You're way off the path. Everyone is looking at us.
Found the cache. And so we had our 3 kids with us at the time. They were, 17 years
much younger
than now. And I thought it was pretty cool. She's like, oh, okay, another hobby, whatever. Bought a GPS shortly after, started finding a few caches by myself. And
then we started doing it together because
then she decided,
thought,
well, this doesn't sound too bad.
Well, I figured if he was going to have this hobby that was going to take up some of his time, that really I should just join him in it so that we could do it together. And then, of course, we started having a lot of fun doing it and cached with our kids for a lot of years until they kind of went and did their own thing.
Like a lot of kids do.
Yeah, they have a way of doing that.
Yeah, right. So that's kind of how it got started. And we ended up placing our first cache far sooner than we would recommend other people place their first cache. It's still there. It's a micro, also to our shame.
In a rock wall. To our shame.
Again, to our shame.
But it's in a cool park. So that's the only redeeming part of it, is that it's got this cute little park.
In fact, it even has micro in the name.
Fernhill Micro.
Fernhill Micro.
Look it up. It's in. Surprisingly, sometimes people will log it and they'll go, "Thanks for keeping this oldie alive." And we're like, we can't let it go then if people feel like it's an old cache.
Oddly, it's a no maintenance cache. I think the last time I was there was 10 years ago.
I changed out the log.
It never goes missing. So that's more or less how we got started. And then like everybody, it just kind of progressed from there, I guess.
I logged that one in January of 2005. That was one of my first finds.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
you were first to find?
Let him talk.
No, I was not first to find, but it was one of my first finds.
Gotcha. Nice. Well, we got quite an active chat, and sometimes they're on topic, sometimes they're not. But CRS 98 says, "I think Everyone Was Mortified would be a great name for a band."
I agree.
And if not a band, at least an album.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you could get an album out of that. Absolutely. Maybe not one you'd be proud of later, but
You'd be mortified, but
worst case scenario, you're right. I mean,
honestly, though, we still talk about lots of family adventures we had caching with the kids when they were younger. We did the pipeline cache.
Even better, they still talk about.
Oh yeah, right. They'll talk about times we went, like we did that pipeline one. You remember you walked on this old penstock and it was gouting water everywhere. And that was to get to the cache. The cache itself was unremarkable, but the adventure was getting there, and we all ended up soaked.
It was an old penstock that some of it was still made out of wood, and so it leaked, because of tremendous pressure. And so there's these great gouts everywhere. Of water, and we were in like July or August. It was hot, so it was quite a fun experience.
The other one they always talk about is we were in Southern Oregon, going to visit your grandmother, and we went to this park, and the cache wasn't that far, but it was all uphill, and only our oldest was smart enough to bring a water bottle, and it's like 105 out, and we go up to get this
cache.
Climb
on top of a table rock,
and then like there was one even farther up, and Carly and I are in flip-flops, totally inappropriate footwear. We've got one bottle of water. We're making the oldest son share this bottle of water so we all don't die up there getting these caches. And then we get back to the car, and I fell about
sprained your ankle in the parking lot. Yeah, after all of that, after climbing to this table rock we had no business being on.
Exactly.
And she sprains her
I'm
ankle
almost
in the
back to
lot.
the car in my flip flops, and I fall and scrape up my knee and stuff. But so that was another family adventure that was just fun times from caching.
Great stories. And now you're talking about caching as a family. I mean, we know you cache as a couple now. You used to cache as a family, which is awesome. We're curious about your caching name. I mean, that's a pretty unique name, Team Noltex. Do you have a backstory on how that came to be?
Yeah, at the time, our son was, I don't know what grade
13,
he was in.
Maybe,
13,
I don't
14.
know.
And we had a school project where you had to form a company and you had to design and build a bridge. And so you had to come up with a company name and build a company and those kinds of things. And so we had to come up with a name. Well, our last name is Nolte. Wanted something that sounded more high tech, right? So like, well, Noltex. You put an X on anything and it's high tech, right?
Yeah.
So his company was Noltex to build this bridge, and so that was right around the time we started caching. And it's like, well, Noltex is good, and we're a team, so ended up with that. We're down to two
in our team. It's a pathetic little team left, but we are kind of the founding members. So.
Right? Yeah.
You killed off the rest of the team and the surviving.
Something like that.
We put them out on waivers. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
DFA'd.
Yeah.
With a player to be named later.
Yeah.
So that's how we came up with our name. And, at one point we thought, well, maybe we should just be Noltex. It's like, yeah, why bother? People know us as Team Noltex. So
Far and wide.
Exactly. Here's an interesting question from the chat from Kyle. It says, do you think squirrels muggle caches?
I would say one's disguised as nuts, perhaps.
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Yeah. Be careful what kind of container you have. I
think we found a 3D printed nut one time, and I had that same concern.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Now, I know we have appreciated some of the great caches that you guys have put out, and there seems to be such a great variety of these to choose from. The first one that Wits End got so excited about, he took me after he did it. We went and did it together, I believe. Wasn't that it? Control the Night.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We've talked about that a couple of times on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
You've got the Price is Right cache, which the Land Monkeys have never seen work.
You're the next contestant.
It's currently in my shop as we speak, so don't come down now.
Yeah.
We're coming to your place. That's
If you could guess, right?
Oh, you've got
Don't forget the bleeping spoon cache.
Bleeping Spoon cache. Yeah.
Is amazing.
Yeah.
Innovative.
I need to do that someday.
You need a lot of time and patience.
Patience. Yeah.
No, if you have the technique, it can be
It's
done
all
in about
technique.
15 or 20
Yeah.
seconds.
I got
Yeah.
a video that teaches the technique.
Good.
Oh, now, before we get into the process that you put into these caches, maybe you could describe a few of your personal favorites that you've created. I mean, these are the ones that we enjoy. What were the ones that you enjoyed, either in completing or an experience that a visitor could expect?
Well, probably we enjoy the same ones for the same reasons you do. And I think a lot of that is because I build caches that I think I would enjoy. And you get an idea from someplace, and I think if it's a cache I would enjoy finding, then my expectation would be probably fun for other people. And so if we get some kind of idea about something, that would really be fun. That would be unexpected, or something like that. So
the Spoons cache, Jeff was actually asked to build one for the Valley Cities Geo Tour.
By Peach.
And Peach wanted him to build some sort of gadget one. And because
I
it's
love
not very...
Peach, but I was too afraid to tell her no. So,
Peach the way I know.
Yeah, I totally understand.
The problem with gadget caches is they can need a lot of maintenance. And so rather than doing some electronic one, you wanted to do something that was more mechanical based.
Yeah, because most of my electronic ones I try to keep close to home because they're maintenance intensive. Electronics break, they go down, the batteries wear out, somebody breaks them, they're rough with them, whatever. So I keep those close to home. So since this was going to be up in Auburn, it's 25 minutes, 30 minutes away. Well, let's do a mechanical one. So
you saw a picture somewhere of something kind of like it.
And for those not familiar with the spoon cache, basically there's a box and there's a bison in the bottom, and you have to use some spoons on the side
spoons on each side,
work it up to a slot
to lift it from
top.
spoon to spoon up the top until you can get to a chute that you dump the bison out of.
So I had seen some kind of idea for that someplace, and and kind of
But
moved it forward from there.
then about the time you were ready to be done with it, Peach says, "Oh, by the way, you need to have a place to put the punch. It's going to have this punch in it." And we're like, "What?"
Okay.
So then we had to like back to the drawing board. Well, kind of. So decided that once you got the bison would have a code, and there'd be a separate box to the side that you could open with the code, and
Gotcha.
the punch could be in there.
So as part of our creative process with that, obviously coming up with a name for a cache is sometimes you even start with a name for a cache. It comes to your mind and you build something from there. This one is like, well, what do we call this thing?
Oh, and we went round and round and round.
And finally, it's like, you know what? Let's call it what other people are going to call
it. And that's
right?
what I said.
Because
I
it's going to be so frustrating.
It was so frustrating for me as I'm trying to beta test the thing. I'm like, people are going to be swearing when they try to do this thing. So we just need to name it that bleeping spoon cache, and we'll just embrace it. And it's, of course, turned out to be one of our most popular caches, I think.
Yeah.
Partly because it's on the tour, and so people are doing the tour, absolutely. Sure. And so it's gotten a lot of traction that way.
Yeah.
And while you can call it a gadget cache, it's incredibly low tech.
Correct.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. And that was kind of the idea. We didn't want something that we were going to have to change batteries out or whatever, that it could really kind of sit there by itself.
So that's and as you mentioned, the you're the next contestant, the Price is Right cache, or the cache is right. That's been another favorite of ours, even though that one's been quite a bit of
It's been more of a maintenance difficulty, but it's fun because you can people of all ages have enjoyed it. It's really like playing the Plinko game on Price is Right. If you haven't seen it, you get these little like poker chips and you put them in the top and they fall down, and it's got to go to the right compartment. And if you don't get the right compartment, the door doesn't open for the cache. It gives you the kind of the loser music from the Price is Right.
Yeah. So my idea with that one is, a game show. What do you have? There's lights and sounds and music, and bells and whistles and all of that. So that was the experience that I wanted to create with that.
Yeah, we really wanted people to feel like they were actually on The Price is Right, and that they, even though none of us ever will be, that you could be like the person called down on stage. You're playing Plinko.
So that was the experience that we wanted with that. And I hadn't seen a cache that had, flashing lights and music and all that kind of thing. And so, I was able to.
So that's probably
something like
that's probably one of our favorite electronic caches.
Yeah.
I'd say the next favorite electronic one maybe is Operation Geocacher. So
that's a good one.
Where it's
recently a geocache of the week.
Yeah, and it's a fun one because we were wanting to do some different kind of game sort of themed caches, and that one the body looks like a geocacher, and you're removing stuff like a travel bug and a water bottle and stuff like that. So
it plays like the game that you had when you were a kid maybe, but of course
with the tweezers, and you got to get them out, and if you hit the edge, then you got to start all over, put them all back again. And Jeff you're much better at doing that one again. I don't have the patience for stuff like that. So you're much better, but that's a fun one. People have really enjoyed that one.
There you go.
There you go. There's a picture of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just wanted to look like a geocacher, and then when you get them all out, then it'll open up and you can get the logbook out. Non-puzzle caches or non-gadget caches. What do you think?
Well, Captain Wapato
that was an old favorite.
That was our first multi that we put out, and the first one really that we started with, having a theme and carrying it all the way through, which is really kind of turned into something really important for us when we put out a cache, either if it's in a series or just the cache itself. And this obviously isn't every cache. Some caches are clearly better than others that you do, but this one, it started out with a theme of pirates, and this one takes you all around Lake Wapato, and each location was a different pirate theme. First one was the Pirate Lookout, and then it would take you to the dock, and each one had a little brass plaque with stamped with the next coordinates for it, and it took you all the way around the lake. And there's a we call it the world's longest gangplank. There's a pipeline that has a catwalk over it. And
two of them, actually.
Yeah,
there's two.
Both of them a couple hundred yards long. And then it ended up, there was an old abandoned play structure in the back of the park that had a telescope on it. So that was the poop deck, and
and you
who
use
doesn't
the
want to say poop
spyglass,
deck,
right?
In a cache. So figured the kids would like that, and so you'd line up marks on the bottom of the telescope, and you'd see a tree, and that was
the point. Then you could point it to where the cache was.
Yeah.
So that was fun because it was using what was already there. We didn't add anything except the cache box itself and these plaques to tell you where to go next. And so that was just really fun to have a cache that was all themed.
And carried out the theme throughout, the name of the cache, the write-up of it, the experience of it, the adventure of it, carried all the way through. And, I think that's part of what we really enjoy about geocaching and creating caches.
Yeah.
is give people a little bit of an adventure, especially if it follows the theme then. And we try to carry the theme all the way through whenever possible.
Well, you guys talked about early on caching with your whole family. And one of my earliest geocaching memories with my family was taking my kids, when also they were much younger, and doing Captain Wapato's treasure hunt. It's one of my all-time favorite geocaches. It was very sad to see that it had to go because the park changed and a lot of reasons like that.
Yeah.
But what's that?
They took out the poop deck.
They took out the poop deck, yeah. But for a lot of the listeners may or may not know that Mr. Team Noltex and I work our state fair together, back in those years when we had a state fair. And we got to chatting one night, and he said, we were, Mrs. Team Noltex and I were walking the park one day, and we found in the park one last remnant of that cache, one of the brass plaques that he just mentioned. And he goes, well, we should really take that down. The cache has been archived for a long time. What should we do with it?
14 years, something like that. Yeah.
But the plaque was still there. These guys designed caches to last. He goes, he goes, I know exactly what we should do with this. So he mounted it on a plaque, and because I'd raved about the cache so much over the years, he gave it to me. And then because we work at an entertainment venue where they do meet and greets with celebrities, I said, we need to pose a fake award presentation. So we did this little presentation deal there backstage at the state fair. And then I still, right here in my podcast shack, have a brass plaque from Captain Wapato's treasure hunt.
Nice.
It's like the last known piece left of this is waypoint number 3.
Waypoint 3.
It's right here in the podcast shack.
Right
That's
on.
cool.
Great memory, great cache, great experience. And recently I also found over there my bench a paper printout of that cache from when I went and found it back in the day. I got to find that again.
Old school.
Back when you had a notebook of
Back when I used to print them out and take the notes out in the field. Yeah. So great memories.
But then you stepped up your game, high tech, and got a Palm Pilot. And started putting your caches on the Palm Pilot.
We were
actually
so cool.
had
With
the
that Palm Pilot.
no, mine was a Dell Axum Windows Pocket PC.
That's what we had. We had a Dell Axiom. Yeah.
Yep.
Still own it.
Yeah. I do too. It's in a box right over there. Doesn't work, but it's in a box right over there because I never throw anything away.
Hey guys, we had a question come in from Roxanne. I think it's a great question for you. Who did the artwork for the Operation Geocacher Cache?
Part of it was the basic of it was artwork that I found on the internet, just line art. But he had his arms crossed, and he wasn't the same.
Didn't
so
she?
my sister's a graphics designer on the side, and so it's like, hey, could you fix this guy for me and make him what I want? She said, of course. So sent it to her, and she sent him back to me as you see them. So part of it was internet, and part of it was my sister.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice.
We had a couple other questions come in.
We did. IHAM asked, what about the Fear This series?
Oh, yeah.
That was, I think, our first series, or was the art?
Yeah, they were about the same
About the same
time.
time.
Oh, our Fear This series, yeah.
It's a phobia series. Mrs. Team Noltex claims that
I'm
she's
afraid of
afraid of
everything. This
she
is my
claims.
series. This is dedicated to me. You
Well-
know, clowns and heights and reaching into, places where you can't see what's going on with the cache and
So it's
claustrophobia.
So we made this series of highlighting all of these different phobias, and it took you to a location, each one of them did, that had that phobia. You're afraid of dogs, cynophobia, it was in a dog park. Afraid of heights, acrophobia, it's on a very high
so
bridge.
acrophobia is still there. It's a really short multi. Up on the bridge in Tacoma near
34th Street.
Stanley, 34th Street, near the Stanley and Seafords restaurant.
Yeah.
And you had to kind of look over the edge of the bridge, and where the bridge there is, the freeway ends up way below it. Kind of, it's really weird. It seems like it's farther down than it possibly, could be. I don't know. It's just weird.
It's 1,000 feet down when you look over. So it's an offset cache, and so I made another little brass plaque with the other sets of cords that you need, and so that you actually have to face your fears. There was a pipe that runs along the edge down the bridge that I could reach down and glue that little plaque onto that. So you literally have to look over the edge.
I don't even like to walk on that bridge.
to
and then those coordinates take you to where the cache is, which fortunately is not so high. So a lot of ours are kind of tongue in cheek.
So
They're not
all of
really...
them are. If you have that phobia, it's a 5 all day long. If you don't, and then we give what it would be otherwise. But they're all rated as 5s for that, and so people like them because there's some odd combinations, 1.5 5s, and
one of those we'd like to bring back was
1.5.
kenophobia, and you had to reach in under this tree, and then you it was a hollow tree, and once you got your arm up in there was this
a rabbit's foot,
fuzzy like rabbit's foot thing that was attached to the cache. So you're feeling this furry thing,
it was on a
retractable cord,
and had a bison in it.
So people freaked too many times. We had to repair that one.
They kept breaking the string
because they were screaming as they reached this furry thing in this.
So that one definitely needs to come back. That's probably on our top of our list.
Yeah, we have to find a place to put that one back.
I think you had one in an anthill too, as I recall.
We did.
Yeah.
Myrmecophobia.
Yeah.
It was buried in an anthill. You had to reach in and kind of
bury it.
But that one kept going missing because the ants would completely bury what the object was.
Yeah.
And course of being ants. We'd have to go and kind of unbury it. And,
arachnophobia is still there, but they removed the giant spider toy that was in the park, so that one's not quite as fun. But one that is still around and a lot of fun, and we get a lot of good comments about, is our claustrophobia one.
I just did that one in January. That was great.
Okay. Yeah.
That started out in Point Defiance.
So it's now along the Theophos waterway now, and we were down there putting caches for a series along the Prairie Line Trail. And we were sitting on this little platform or something, and here comes some kids, like teenagers, and they're paddling their boats, and they're going into this culvert thing, and I'm snapping into mom mode. What are you doing? Don't go in there. That's not safe, And they like
relax, lady.
Yeah, right. They're thinking this lady's crazy, and we
look at each other and go,
we're like
claustrophobia.
Yeah. That's not safe. Let's put a cache there and make people go in there.
Please.
And then it filled up with dirt, and so we couldn't use it anymore.
Well, no, then it got unburied, but then there was another cache, meanwhile, put too close, so we couldn't put it back in Point Defiance where the original claustrophobia was. So we had been looking, but you can't just put that one anywhere. So we were happy to be able to find a new location. Now it's really title dependent. You could scuba dive to it.
You could scuba dive.
You could wade to it. You could take your kayak to it, or if you're lucky and the tide is out far enough, you can keep your feet dry.
I replaced the log this week, and my feet were dry when I got done.
Yeah. I when I did it, it was pretty much that way as well.
Right.
So.
Those are some of the favorites that we've done.
Those are our favorite fearless ones for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was another question from Bounce who's watching tonight, and he's wondering if you guys could share what's the best cache you've found.
Oh wow. Okay.
They're not.
So one of, I think, my all-time favorites is Siren Song. It's by I'm not sure how to say his name, Minstrel, maybe.
Mhm.
Local cacher. It's down.
GC4WTRG.
Yeah, it's down near. It's in Stillicum, not too far from where you catch the ferry to Anderson Island, and it has it all going on. The cache page is beautifully done. It's a hidden in plain sight kind of cache. The location is beautiful, and I don't want to give it away about the cache, but it has a lot of favorite points and totally worth a visit if you get down to Stillicum ever.
Yeah, so that's
one of our all-time favorites.
Yeah,
Okay.
just kind of for epic adventure caches. Bloated Festering Head of My First Victim, GC J7VH. Just the absolute adventure of it.
Yeah, going to get a cache.
Yeah.
And then again, theme, because you
Right.
do find the bloated festering head of his first victim. That is the cache.
Indeed.
It's not an ammo can, and you'd be disappointed if you didn't find a bloated festering head and
That's
just
right.
found a lock and lock. So it's one of the epic adventure. It's themed all the way through. It's got this great build up to it, and getting there doesn't disappoint. It's not walking down a sidewalk by any means. I think I was chest deep in water at that point. It was I didn't know any better than to just go the shortest route. Get as close as you can on the trail and then just plunge in. And so it was me and a friend and 3
Your
kids.
sons, your kids.
So,
Bushwhack in, hike out.
yep.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I don't think he hike out.
Back.
There's got to be an
Favorite
easy way in there.
Gadget cache is really anything by Bounce and Goblin Dust are favorites always. They're always fun adventures. But a new favorite gadget cache would be one by Bingham Brigade. Try again. Try again. A gadget cache, something like that. It's GC 8J7AE. It is really well constructed. You can talk about
Very
that.
well thought out. The craftsmanship of the build is very good. Multi-layered, but all the layers are different.
So you have to do different things to get to certain parts to finally get to the log. So you have to do 3 different things really. And then they even have this. They have like this window into. It's a big box. Think huge birdhouse kind of thing. It's got this window in it, and they've got all these little Lego people set up geocaching with a little geocache. It's so cool. So the whole cache is just super
very
well done from
Bingham
start
Brigade,
to finish.
if you're listening, please put out some more.
Yeah, well done, Bingham Brigade.
Yeah, I see that's right here in Tacoma, too.
Yeah,
It's in
please
Tacoma.
put out
It's
some more.
Totally worth doing. So are some of theirs along that series.
Okay, I just bookmarked that one. That's right here in Tacoma. I'm going to find that one
Yeah.
soon.
Oh yeah,
That one sounds
you
great.
got to go check it out. It's great.
Yeah. All right, well, there's so many great aspects that you guys have come up with themes and gadgets and all that stuff. But of course, one of the key elements to a great, especially long-lasting geocache, it's the same as real estate. It's location, location, location. How do you scout out and find these amazing locations? Because you guys have got some great ones, and I'm sure there are some fun stories to share about locations there.
Yeah, and location is very important for us. One of those, like you said, with gadget caches, you put a lot into them, and plug your ears, but they cost a lot of money, some of them, to build, several hundred sometimes. And so protecting that and making sure that it doesn't get vandalized or, used roughly or stolen.
Simon.
My first Simon cache, just gone. It was literally unbolted from the post. And it was kind of isolated. Nobody could see that you were back there.
Yeah.
Private property that we had put in with permission. It was behind a church.
So
and,
gadget caches,
who knows,
I look
right?
for, you have to have permission because how most of them are placed, although I'm doing some more in ammo cans, and then you can just hide it in place in ammo can. But if it's on a post, attached to a building, attached to a fence, anything like that, of course you have to have specific permission. So I'll go to a business, someplace like that. Please. This is better. I'll ask permission for a location, but so I look for some place that is just isolated enough, like you can feel like you can play it without being out in front of everybody in the world.
So in a park, not like,
but not
in a
so
parking lot.
isolated that you wouldn't feel free to just beat it with a baseball bat if you chose to.
Yeah.
For instance, another one in Wapato Park, area 51% for the arts. We named it that because it's alien themed, but Tacoma had this thing where anytime you built a public building, 1% of the cost had to go for the arts. So it starts at a sculpture outside the police substation that's there.
That look like aliens. I don't know if you got a picture of them, but they're the craziest artwork.
So area 51% for the arts. And I don't want to describe the object, but it's attached to a tree. But you're kind of isolated in a little bit of woods, but you're right next to the police substation. And that one's gone undamaged for years now. And
good.
So we look for that.
We like something close to home though too, just because some of these caches need more maintenance. So it is nice to not have them too far away, because if you do have to put in new batteries or do some sort of repair, you can do that.
So we look for locations that we think people would enjoy going to. It's got a nice view, it's pleasant, the woods are nice, and you feel safe. Minimally, you can't go to that location and think,
oh, there's the sculptures.
There's your aliens, yeah.
Minimally, you can't go there and think, ooh, I don't like this area. I don't feel safe. We've been to
I'm
caches.
really big on that. I'm like,
she won't go behind a business.
Yeah, I hate going behind.
Find any of our caches placed behind businesses because she refuses. She's like, no, this is creepy back here. They're going to come out and ask you what you're doing.
There's not a good reason for us to be back here,
Yeah. So I mean, we've been to caches where we got accused of vehicle prowling because where it was at, and we couldn't find it we DNF'd it. We went back and found it. But, so we don't want it to be too public, but we don't want it to be too isolated. There's got to be a balance in there about, for security and feeling comfortable.
That makes perfect sense. In the chat, Keats94 asks, out of all the Team Noltex hides, which one do you recommend a visiting cacher find first?
Ooh, that depends.
If it's land monkey, call first to see if it's
That's right.
So the inside joke of that is every time he comes to town, the cache that he has targeted of mine that he wants to go do is not functioning, but it hasn't been reported yet that it's not functioning, and he goes to do it and it doesn't work, and everybody tells him what a great experience it's going to be, and he's like, I don't get it, I don't see it.
So I would say it depends what the visiting cacher wants. One of our popular ones is our Bridge of Glass. It's a virtual, and that's because people are downtown in Tacoma getting that webcam and they go, oh, there's a virtual nearby.
Yeah.
But then when they go and find it, they really love it because there's so many cool glass sculpture pieces so that's a great one for somebody just kind of cruising through town and they don't really want to take a lot of time.
And it's right near. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's right near the webcam.
Right, and the only requirement is you have to take a picture.
Choose your favorite.
Of you or your GPS or whatever you want to take a picture of, along with your favorite piece of artwork. And that's why we called it a 5 difficulty, because it's so hard to choose. So that one.
And people laugh but then they get there and they go, you're right. This was really hard to choose. I couldn't decide which one I actually liked.
So for just straight up visitor out of town, that's a great one.
And it's right near Where's George?
And it's near Where's George. Those caches came later
George,
when we realized there's a huge waterfront down here with no caches in it.
Yeah.
We don't take up all the real estate down there, but nobody was putting caches, and so we put a string of caches down there. It's like, look, if people are going to be down here visiting, because that one gets hit really from people all around the world. We get caches in different languages from that one.
Cache logs, yeah.
Yeah, cache logs. So we put in some other caches down in there that, hey, if you're there, you can find some other caches.
I would say pretty much any of the gadget caches are ones that consistently people enjoy doing. Our letterboxes, we actually have one of our letterboxes has over 100 favorite points, which is stunning. Captain Gray, Waterflume Trail Captain Gray has just over 100, and it's because you can actually follow the letterbox poem to go get it, and then when you get to the area of the final, you have to get a tool, and we've told them how the tool is hidden, and then you need that tool to be able to open the cache at the end. And so because it's got kind of this multi-layered thing going, people have enjoyed that one for a letterbox.
Very cool. So great tips there. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I would say almost any of your caches are great ones to start with, but definitely the Tacoma waterfront, such a beautiful place. And yeah, start there and work your way out. Yeah, that's great. Hey, so we've talked about a lot of your very cool creative caches, and each of them is a unique project. Is there a kind of a creative process in general, like a repeatable process that you follow from idea through fruition, or is it different for each, or how does that work for you guys?
Yeah, well, there's always a starting point, and for us, the starting point can really be anywhere. Like sometimes you'll come up with a name for a cache, and you'll see a name, right? And it's like, oh, that's a great name for a cache. We should build something around that. Or you'll find a location that's like, oh, this would be a great place. Or you see an object that you think that would be a great container for a cache. We really enjoy the hidden in plain sight caches, and so that one can either be location or the object to figure out what.
A good example is we were walking around Wright Park in Tacoma, and I wanted to do a puzzle. But with a puzzle, you really have to kind of decide where you're going to hide it first, because then you have to build your puzzle around the coordinates. So we started with a couple locations that were maybe viable in Wright Park. And we saw a location that we thought, oh, okay, this would be great. We can use, Jeff had just gotten a new 3D printer, one of his new toys. And so he says, I could build you something that could go in this like kind of hidden in plain sight place in the park. And so I built a puzzle, this word puzzle, and then it all just kind of came together. The name of it, Ezekiel's Wheel. There's a song about Ezekiel's wheel way in the middle of the air. And so the puzzle itself is this wheel themed puzzle where you have to put words into this wheel. And then the words of the song and the name of the puzzle, and then the location, and the container is a wheel in the middle of the air. And it just all kind of came together. So this whole theme. And so even though it's a puzzle, we've had a lot of favorite points on that one. Yeah. And that was really a fun one to kind of see come all together.
So a lot of it for a process for us is, first of all, it's got to be fun. We want people to have a good time finding it. And we find that a lot of that comes from a theme. And your theme can be, of course, anything. And so you can really kind of start anywhere in that process from location, container, the whatever, but have your theme follow all the way through. That's
right. Your maybe your cache page and your cache title and the container can all go together, and that just makes for a better cache experience. And maybe the location of where you're putting it. So yeah, if you have a music themed cache and then you have to solve some sort of music puzzle, or maybe you're just talking about how you love music and then you put it at a music store in some sort of note shaped container, it just automatically people go, this is great, because it all kind of hangs together.
Yeah. So because we'd found caches in the past, the title had something to do with dogs. There was a write-up about their dog, how much they like their dog and all that. You go and you find it, well, you're a little disappointed when it's a lock and lock under a bush. Go that extra step. Get like a dog container. Get permission to put it outside of a doggy daycare or a pet store or something like that, and then that's just a little extra bit of fun, right? That it's like completion then, because it's all the way through, instead of some disappointment. They could have had like a bone-shaped container,
right?
Or
exactly.
Yeah.
So we've gotten inspiration lots of places, like our art series that we have in Tacoma. We were in Bend, Oregon years ago, and they had some sort of Art of Bend series, and I love art. And
came home and ripped it off.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, hey, there's lots of art in Tacoma, and you can take people, by putting a cache there, you're taking people to see some sort of cool artwork. And so I like the idea of doing that. Plus, it's it's not necessarily that the container is so fabulous, but you're taking them to something interesting to see.
Because one of the things we've always enjoyed about geocaching is discovering things you never would see otherwise if it wasn't for geocaching.
Right. You could pass that same way and really ignore the artwork, but then when you're there and you're looking at like Iron Horse and you're reaching inside the horse to try to find the container inside him, then you're like up close and
through
personal.
The south end of a north-facing horse.
Yeah. Then you're really you're experiencing the artwork in a way that you wouldn't otherwise.
Unless you went to veterinary school.
You become part of the geocache.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's interactive.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well,
so yeah, it sounds like you've got you've got a bit of a system, but it starts with inspiration. Inspiration can come from anywhere, as you said.
And it does. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it starts with a challenge from her. I bet you couldn't do this.
Oh yeah.
Challenge accepted.
So we have a couple things sitting around at home right now. Jeff is the proud owner of a
phone booth and a payphone.
And a payphone, which he would like to at some point turn into some sort of cache, and probably will. But it's one of those ideas that it's going to have to take longer to kind of come together.
First, building something like that can take quite a long time and expense, and but you have to have the right idea. Okay, so what are you going to do with the payphone? What's the interaction going to be with people? And a guy that I've met, he built a payphone cache in Massachusetts that's
sounds epic,
unbelievably epic. Yeah. You can enter in. He's got a phone book with hundreds of phone numbers that every one of those phone numbers does something when you call it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And so it depends on, what we want to do. So that one's still kind of percolating, and I've got several like that are, someday, hopefully it'll percolate to the top. Okay, it's your turn to be built now, and and that'll be out.
Yeah.
So very cool. I threw out a thank you to Team Noltex for coordinating the Tacoma Clue series.
Oh.
And
we haven't talked about it. Really, Clue is was probably one of our biggest favorites.
That was a lot of fun. So that one, actually, the inspiration was we were in Michigan several years ago, and they had a series that one person had put out called Who Found It? And it was a clue-based series with, 16 caches, and we did like 2 of them. And I thought, you know what? A clue game would be fun. And so I said to Jeff, hey, honey, could you, could you build a gadget cache that, maybe if you turned dials to the correct solution, this is the person and this is the weapon and this is the place, that it could open a container or something. He's like, oh, I don't know. I just, but then 2 days later, he has to percolate on these ideas. It's like, okay, I think I have an idea of how this could work. Okay, great. So then we were off to the races, but we didn't really want to hide 21 caches ourselves. We're like, no, this is not good. We've got to get other people involved.
Maintain 21
caches.
Yeah,
it's just too much, right? Plus, we wanted more for ourselves to find. We're kind of selfish there. So we got a whole bunch of caching community interested, and people were too. They were excited about it.
It was during a time last year when
prior to the creation celebration.
Right, but her New Year's resolutions get us into trouble too. The first New Year's resolution ended up in a 3-year streak, this New Year's resolution was she wanted to have an event every month. And so we were, interacting with a lot
and different
more.
kinds of events. So
Yeah,
we
we
were
had
doing different stuff every
A
single
lot of them
month.
ended up in parking lots.
Yeah, well, that's another
one
story.
reason or another.
We do the best
Oh.
parking lot cash events.
The
So
classic
we
Noltex
we thought, you know
parking
what, we need to involve other cashiers. We thought this is the best way to do that. So we organized it, had an event, and put it out there that, look, we're going to have this clue game, and we need 21 other geocachers to hide a cache.
That each has a clue in it,
That-
just like the clue
The only
game where you get a
stipulations-
card,
The only stipulations were we wanted it roughly within the city of Tacoma, and it had to be big enough to hold a game card.
like a playing card size.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that was pretty much it. Just to kind of keep it within a small enough parameter that if people really wanted to try to do all of them in one day, they could do that. And
Yeah.
some people did. It was fun.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
and that was
there's
the
the
third
page.
thing. So we put together the cache page
Yep.
with the graphics and all that. And everybody that volunteered, I supplied them essentially with a made-to-order cache page. All they had to do was cut and paste it onto their page, and then at the bottom, they could write what description of their specific cache.
Yeah.
So we had a couple events to organize it. Kind of like herding cats, but
Yeah, who knew? Hats off to Peach again. Back to Peach from Peach and Pete, because we only had 21 people to herd, and she had way
40
more
some.
that. Yeah,
we kept,
for those
look, if
for that
Peach can do 40, I
geo tour.
think we can do half.
We're
that.
like, holy cow, because this was,
Yeah.
whatever can go wrong, somebody's
So,
doing it.
The pressure was that we had a specific date, and it was going to be published on that date, all the caches all at the same time. So
we were busy with
we made
the,
sure that they
cache
were, essentially
final.
all in place within 2 to 3 weeks before that date. The problem was that the final was giving me a lot of problems with the electronics. It uses it's called an Arduino. It's a small little microprocessor that you program it to essentially take inputs and do outputs. From an input would be a switch, and an output would be a light, something like that. So you give it a command like, if this switch is on, then flash this light 5 times, something like that. Very simple. Unless you're building something like I was, where you had to have 3 different dials, and I had recorded voice messages
about whether you were right or wrong,
and had to check all these. So that's way beyond my programming capabilities. So I'm on a Facebook creative gadget cache page with some very geo-famous people. And so I hooked up with this guy in Germany, GT10, I think is his name, Olaf. And we started working back and forth. He loves to program these. And so for weeks, we went back and forth. He was on vacation for part of it. We were still talking back and forth every day. I was on vacation. We were still working on it. I took my prototype with me on vacation on a hunting trip to get it done. It was finally in place 3 days before the published date.
Yeah.
But she always says I work best under pressure.
You do work best under pressure. So the final is in the conservatory in Wright Park, which is also thematic for the Clue board game, if you ever played Clue.
Mm-hmm.
And
the conservatory, it had to be there, right?
It's the beautiful location, and then the cache container. It's just really great because it does talk to you in this British accent, which is really kind of fun, telling you whether you've got you solved it or not.
So when you dial in your 3 guesses, you press the submit, and if you're correct, this rich British voice tells you, congratulations, you are an amazing detective, and a little drawer pops open, and you can access the log. If you're not correct, he tells you that, and that you need to try again. But I know how geocachers are, and they would just start guessing, right? And so Olaf's idea was, well, there needs to be a penalty. So the first wrong guess, you have to wait a minute. The second wrong guess, you have to wait 2 minutes. The third, and on and on. So with 500 and some combinations, they could be there for a couple months if they were just trying to guess it. I know how geocachers are. They will brute force it if they can brute force it.
So the good news is that one's back up. The conservatory had been closed because of COVID for months, and now it's open by appointment. So if there's somebody out there who thinks, gosh, I'd really like to do that series and then get that final, you need to make an appointment to get in there. And we just had somebody find it
for the first time
today.
In months now.
Yesterday. I don't know if they even logged it yet, but they were from out of town and wanted to get it, and so they had finished up what they needed to and went and found the cache.
Jewel One, another very creative geocacher.
Got us interested in your
3D
printing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a few logs on my element of that from people that had booked trips to the Northwest for all of the celebrations and GeoWoodstock and everything, and said, "Well, I was coming anyway, so now I'm just going to geocache around." So.
Right.
Yeah. And sadly, we would have been packing tonight for GeoWoodstock.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We might have done a live show from there tonight. Who knows?
Exactly.
From Canada. But
we're on our way to Alaska. We can stop through.
yeah, that's what I've heard. Well, gosh, we want to talk to you about cache maintenance and other ideas and people that want to have stuff, but we've been running for an hour now, and it's just flown by. So I think we may just have to have you come back another time if you're willing to do that.
Fun. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Folks, thank you for listening. We want to remind you to listen to the extemporaneous free association that is the after show coming up in just a few moments.
Put an extra $1 in his pay bucket, will you?
Yeah, okay. I'll give him a 25% raise for that one.
All right.
Thank Mike Rowe for that one.
Well, you know what else? What else is? Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's extemporaneous, but I'll tell you what. We appreciate all of our patrons, all of our sponsors, and of course, Land Sharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online. They're shipping online orders daily. We also want to thank all of our faithful Denali level supporters. That's Land Sharks, JP's Geo Designs, Team Squirrel, Groovy Owl, and Cachly, the geocaching app. If you want to know more about supporting the show, click that Patreon link on thecachingnw.com, a website.
Just like our glow provider of the evening, Wino Seattle.
And Team Noltex.
Wow.
That was the best one yet.
I know, right? M-Nerve.
And the Geo Travelers.
Kid Vegas 19.
Wet Coaster.
Trexer 0.
Keats 94.
The nicest tour guide in Victoria Highlands guy.
Pendragon.
Seebeck Tribe.
GeoNav Pros.
MC3 Cats with an X.
Camp. Oh, yeah. Camp Clan.
Fairwood West.
Billy Robson.
Tick Magnet.
Alarobrick.
GSM ×2.
Kev MacD.
Another 3D printing guru, Anteas.
Yes. LG 9000.
CRS 98.
All the way from Calgary, Logwork.
Dune Buddy.
Broncos fan for life.
All right, now, just a moment. Cover the baby's ears. Are the baby's ears covered? I'm waiting.
How polite of you.
Okay, you ready? Okay. Boomer 365.
You're such a polite Canadian.
Yeah.
Ackerdock.
Doramore.
Genies.
Channel Barb.
Katie Quest.
On a boat.
Sprouter.
Limax.
Subway Mark.
T. Sayer.
Green Words.
Sige Hove.
And our newest patron, You Talks to Rocks.
Hey.
Oh,
Welcome to the family.
Thanks, Rocks. Yeah, thanks to everybody. We appreciate all of you, and we appreciate Team Noltex for not only being a patron, but for being a wonderful guest tonight. And like I said, we hope to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
If people wanted to reach out and get in touch with you directly, is there a way you'd like them to do that?
On Facebook is Jeff Nolta and Christy Nolta, or my email is jnolta2 gmail.
But through
There you go.
geocaching, they can contact us,
Yeah,
and we
messages on
respond to
geocaching.
our messages on geocaching and have people message us fairly frequently. Yeah.
I can
Yeah,
vouch
you
for
do
that.
respond really quickly.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. They've done exactly that.
Excellent. Well, and hey, Chris of the Northwest, if people want to contact for some random reason the hosts of this podcast, would you advise that or not?
No, not at all.
No,
Okay.
contact the Noltes instead.
Yeah.
It's
They're
going to
going
be
to
way
get
more
back to you
entertaining.
far quicker and with better information about great caches. All we're going to do is ask if you want to be on the show. But you know
Nothing
what?
good
We're
comes
out
out of
there.
that.
You can come find us. If you head on over to cachingnw.com/hosts, you're going to find all the links to all those social medias that we sometimes look at and often use. And, you know, a whole bunch of information in our bio that you're going to be able to use to track us down one day. Wait,
Hold on.
I'm going to go change that page right now. Hang on.
Okay.
But most of all, we thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Don't forget that you can be part of the show. Call in to 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or help us out with that gadget cache any time of the day or night. Of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website and subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Give us a thumbs up or a very coveted review. This show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Copyright 2020 by Chris Umfenauer. Whew, we got through all that. You know what that means?
What?
It's Christy's bedtime. Oh, no, time
No,
for-
that's way past.
That's it.
That's way past.
It's time for the after show. Oh, wow. We had so much going on in the chat tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got more that we could talk about from what the Noltes put in. So much more that we could branch off from the chat. So,
Yeah,
guys, you're going to have to come back.
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. Another time. Yep.
We'll
Not
get it
next week.
scheduled- No, we'll get it
Okay.
scheduled in the fall. We'll get you guys scheduled in. The
Okay.
fall. We'll give you
Which
a
is coming up soon.
We'll let you forget this entire experience, and they'll say, "Hey, do you want to be on the podcast?" And you'll go, "That sounds like fun."
Yeah, I think that was fun last time. Until, you realize you're like, that wasn't so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff and I are not working the state fair this fall, just saying.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
Ooh,
there you go.
Hey,
September.
when you're not working, let's go ahead and get you on the podcast.
Not till after the wedding.
Yeah.
Geo girl's getting married in September, so
Oh,
wow.
congratulations.
we're
Congratulations.
not available till after that.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting.
Thanks for making time for us in August.
Yeah, no
She-
kidding.
What?
Early enough that she is G.O. girl. A
G
coveted
period O
name.
period girl. Yeah, that's
Wow.
all.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Are you going to do some geocache something at the wedding?
Well,
No.
there's a geocache already there at that location.
Yeah.
So if you want to crash, just
So poor Geo girl
Arriving
lost
to
her
cash.
venue, so we have to have the
Oh.
wedding and the reception at our cabin on Anderson Island. So,
Oh.
Okay.
So
a
technically
nice-
they're right there, but not. It's it's just been a whole COVID fun wedding. So
That is a nice location. But maybe you could make a gadget-themed ring box.
yeah, something frustrating for the groom to work on.
Yes, absolutely.
Great idea. I can't see anything going wrong with that.
Not me, no.
No, me either.
Standing up in front of everybody.
Yeah.
If
Try
anyone has anything to say about this, I've got something to say about my mother-in-law.
cache. Yeah.
that bleeping spoon cache.
Yeah.
Box cache.
Bleeping ring box. Yeah.
Oh, let's see. We've got Siberian Sun that gave us a task. Notice an animated discussion about people sending photos of cache logs instead of signing them as a COVID-19 precaution.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was on the BCGA Facebook page, I think, is the one that Siberian Sun is referencing. There was Definitely a lot of opinions espoused about whether you should sign a log or not. I honestly thought that had all kind of blown over months and months ago, like in April, but I guess some people are still concerned about handling the paper. I don't know. I think if you want to play the game, you got to sign the log if you want the smiley. And hey, if you don't want to sign a log and get a smiley, then you know what? There's lots of adventure labs around, so do those instead.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. There, you can just consider that you pre-found it. When you feel it's safe to sign it, you can go find it then. Exactly. Right?
Absolutely.
Or you just go find all those lonely caches. Like we did one today that was like lonely for the last year.
11
so
months, yeah.
that ought to be safe, right? For you to handle a cache that nobody's
Exactly.
found. So,
Yeah, IHAM is kind of vague about how he feels, but
I really think, Dan.
Oh, let's see. So Keats94 wants to know, how's everyone doing in the Wonders of the World promotion?
How are you guys doing, Team Noltex?
We finished the first layer. We did all the what is it? The old the
modern
And
one?
you did the modern one.
the classic ones. The modern ones.
Modern
first.
ones,
Now we're just started on the. We've got a couple done
Ancient.
of the ancient ones. Yeah. So we're getting there, but we haven't really particularly been trying to
Right.
find certain ones. So it'll just happen.
So you're just
I think-
cashing the way you would have cashed anyways, and you're
Organically.
getting bonuses for it.
Well, we might. When we get closer, maybe we'll limit to, so we're just searching for whichever wonders we have left, but haven't worried about it yet. So.
Cool. Chris of the Northwest, how you doing on it?
Well, I've got a couple, but Wits End and I are ancient wonders of the world.
I was going to say, speaking of the ancient ones, here we are.
Yeah, and we're planning to go out tomorrow, so we'll see how many of those we can knock out, and we're going to do it very organically. I don't think we're going to pick and choose
Yeah,
geocache
probably not.
based on the wonders contained within.
Yeah, I headed out last Sunday to grab a few, and every single cache I tried to find, there was somebody camped on top of, or I swear there was an empty parking lot, and right at the end of the parking lot, next to where the cache was, according to my GPS, was a homeless person sitting in a power wheelchair. I don't know how he got there. I mean, I'm obviously power wheelchair, but I don't know why that spot. There was no tent, there was no car, there was no nothing. And I tried at least half a dozen caches and DNF'd or just did not search for any of them. I just got frustrated and went home. So I have 0 in the Wonders search.
We'll fix that
Well,
tomorrow.
the good news is most of them are both an ancient and a modern. So once you can,
It provides one or the other.
you can do one or the other for them. So it's easier to get them accomplished that way. I think the last time they did a game like that, it was only one. It wasn't two
Exactly.
things, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, last summer I was traveling and didn't do any of the museum thing because I was out of town. I'm just too busy. So maybe
And
I'll
then-
get this one done.
After you found all the gems. Oh, surprise, here's 35 more to go find.
Yeah, so I was spared that frustration. I didn't have to deal with that at least.
Yeah, I remember that.
All these
And-
people that said they finished the Wonders, I thought, have you? Are you sure? Are you sure?
Are you sure you really all have fun with them? Yeah.
IHAM says he's finished all the wonders in a #geocache road trip on Saturday.
Good job.
Excellent.
Let's see. Greenwords and I got all 4 souvenirs last weekend.
Well done.
Very good.
Catherine finished them all.
Excellent.
Well done.
Wet Coaster wants to know for Earth Cache weekend, will we have to find 7 natural wonders of the world?
I love it.
That's a good idea, but
Yeah.
You Talk Sirach says I didn't even start until Monday this week.
Well, there you go.
Well, you got lots of time, so no
Yep.
worries.
MC3 Cat started on Saturday, finished all but one, and got that one on Tuesday.
Cool. Well done.
Dora Moore says we had a plan for the first 7, had to change the plans because of muggles. Huh.
I can relate.
I was going to say, was she caching with you with that? The park was packed. We improvised and managed to get the whole thing done in 3 hours.
I wish she was caching with me because we probably would have found something if she was along. I couldn't seem to find anything on Sunday.
really.
Oh, what else do we have? We've got Keats 94 that says he's off to Twin Lakes tomorrow, somewhere north of Pemberton, BC. Grizzly country and many mountains.
Many mountains.
One remote, lonely cache that hasn't been found since 2015.
Ah, there you go.
Nice.
It's there.
That's probably COVID safe.
Probably so, yeah.
You know, the Grizzlies are probably COVID safe too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say just make sure you check the area there. Briarlane commented that there is a forest fire and evacuations near Pemberton, so be safe.
There you go. Cash safely and cash often.
I've heard that somewhere.
Yeah. All right. And MC3 Cats had suggested for your phone booth to make a Get Smart phone booth.
Yeah.
That's kind of cute. Yeah.
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 It's more of the kiosk style than the doors.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although,
trap
like
doors in
the
it.
one I was talking about in Massachusetts, he has one with the doors.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, well, that's all the tasks we have this evening. Everything else must have been for the show.
There was a lot for the show.
There was.
Yeah. Great show.
It looks like Ben was wondering if we're putting out an adventure lab.
Oh, did we miss that?
And we
Yeah.
have one that's there's a 5-part gadget cache adventure lab.
No. Oh, okay. But he means
Right.
like just us.
No plans yet.
Well, although we have toyed with the idea of putting one out on Anderson Island.
Mm.
There you go.
Tour of Anderson Island.
So yeah, so take you on a tour there. So Ben, we love your one down in Stillicum. That was a nice one. Plug for Ben's adventure lab in Stillicum with
Nice.
a historical tour. It's good.
Excellent.
Are there 5 points on the island worthy of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I've been there. I think, can't
It
you-
is
In
small.
excess of 5,
it is
I would
small.
say.
Yes, but I think we could make it work out there. Yeah. So we might.
Excellent.
Nice.
There you go.
Ben also wants you to have a trapdoor underneath your
The Get Smart.
phone booth. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
That sounds a little dangerous.
Well, I mean,
I'm
you
sure
don't
there's
have
a phobia.
fall.
Is
of
that
falling through the
would that
floor.
be a difficulty star or a terrain star?
Ooh. That'll be a part of the fear of
Difficulty
this
is getting
series.
back out? Yeah.
Yeah.
terrain going down, difficulty going up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the fear of phone booths?
I'll
Hmm.
have to get
There
back
we
to
go.
that. You know what? As
There
we
probably
research
is.
phone, there's one for almost everything.
I
So
know.
Yes.
I would be surprised if there's a fear of phone booths.
I
We
would
should-
not be surprised at all.
Yeah.
We probably should come up with another phobia to put out.
You
Stay
just phoned that one in, huh?
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well,
Oh,
I
sounds
think we're at a wrap for tonight. Team Noltex, thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been fun.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, and it's been
Yeah, it
fun
has.
talking with you guys.
so much.
Great to see you again, and
Yeah.
I look forward to when we can see you in person.
Sounds good.
And folks, until next week, get out and find a Team Noltex cache in the
Hmm.
Northwest.
There you go.